Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
Even as these grainy satellite images released today by the Chinese government.
Again, the Malaysian flight too was one shot at China saying knock it off.
Why shoot it down though if it's not hostile?
Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space.
Why the Americans would?
They leave distance annihilated.
This country is very powerful. Far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world. Not even close.
I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
Welcome, everybody. Hey, everybody. Sorry, I need to write something down before I forget. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. Looks like we've got some adjustments to make. Look at that. Now we're back to normal, guys. Hey, everybody. I have been reeling, sitting here thinking about MH370, what happened to the plane, wormhole technology, orbs, fusion. And man, today I saw something that actually I can't even wrap my head around. And unfortunately, I don't think I'll ever be able to talk about it, at least not for a long time to come, which really sucks, man, which really sucks, but it is what it is. But what I'll say, guys, is if you're here, if you have been following along, if you believe or know, it's not even believe, if you know the MH370 videos are real, what we've been showing pretty much every single day, then you, my friend, have made it. You have passed the filter. If you can tell that this is not video game effects, if you can tell that somebody didn't make this with some pictures of clouds, if you can tell that that's not like an ink blot, Call of Duty, or something like that, whatever, then you have an intelligence high enough, higher than probably 95% of your species. I just want to point that out right off the bat. Now, I want to talk about a few things today, guys. Number one, I want to talk about the Sal interview. I want to also, I just saw it just dropped. Piers Morgan had Jesse Michaels and Jeremy Corbell along with Michael Shermer, which I think must have been a back and forth that I want to discuss with you guys tonight. And before we do all that, I want to dig into how wormhole technology works at a high level. Because at this point, I realized we've done 400 live streams and another 25 plus podcasts and explaining the science over and over and over again. And so now I'm thinking, okay, well, let me get people up to speed on what we're talking about, how this is all real. People are taking a lot of interest on social media. I'm seeing posts about wormholes and stuff going over 100,000 views regularly now, which is honestly impressive for me, which to me says we are going to get there. It's just a matter of we got to, guys, for my League of Legends players, we got to just not throw right now. What we got to do right now is not throw. The CIA is going to be looking to do some bullshit, to debunk something or discredit somebody or do some shit like that. So we got to avoid that. For example, I saw Matt Rife just got raided by the FBI or something like that. I don't know anything about it yet other than the post he posted on social media, but I'm just saying that's what we got to avoid. Exactly that. Okay. Now, before we get into that, people may say, especially if you've been watching MH370, you know about MH370, or if you're just, let's say, a skeptic, a good question would be, Ashton, what do you want out of this? What do we want out of this? What are we trying to get out of this? It's not money. Are we going to try to throw certain people in jail? Probably not practical. But what are we really trying to get out of this? I want a congressional hearing or multiple hearings, government hearings about MH370. I want to be able to ask the questions. If it's a perfect world, unicorn farts and rainbows, then I want to be able to ask the questions during the hearing. And if I have 4 people on my panel that I get to ask questions on, and it's anybody. Oh boy, this is a good one. First of all, no Obama. You may say, why not Obama? You don't want Obama on the list? Number one, I already know Obama did it. I already know Obama. Even if Obama didn't directly call for the operation on MH370, he's still getting the blame. He was the president. You're telling me there's people orbiting planes around and you're not aware you're the commander in chief? Sorry, bro. That's on you no matter what. It's on you no matter what. So I don't even need to question Obama. I want Glenn Gaffney, number one. I would want Frank Archibald, but he's dead now. If I have to get a backup, I'll take John Brennan. But Glenn Gaffney, number one, that guy knows about MH370. He knows those videos are 100% real. He was the dude hooking them up with the orb technology. He was probably also hooking them up with the surveillance and the drone technology too. Okay, so Glenn Gaffney, number one. Number two, probably Eric Davis. Why Eric Davis? Because this guy, I think he's the guy that like pushed the wormhole technology beyond just science fiction into, oh, okay, spin some shit around, make some shit go poof. That's just my gut feeling. And rumor is Eric Davis cannot tell a lie. That's the rumor. So get me in front of somebody like Eric Davis. We're going to get some truth. We're going to get some truth. Maybe it's uncomfortable for people, but we're going to get some truth about what kind of shit the government has developed and given to the CIA. I mean, people are like, hey, Ashton, if the CIA haven't the Zionists control the world, I'm like, well, yeah, the CIA controls the world. So can you get your head on right? That's the world we live in already today. That's the world we live in. Who else? I guess throw Hal Puthoff on there. Hal Puthoff is the one person who I'm not going to get answers from. He can just sit there and look pretty, though, because I'm pretty sure he's MJ number one. I'm pretty sure Edward Teller was like, here you go, Hal Puthoff. You take the reins from here. You'll keep the secret safe. And then the number 4 person, Charles Chase. No doubt, chat. Charles Chase, the BPTG. He's also somebody that he's smart to avoid me. Smart. He's just, I can tell he's a nice guy. I can tell he's a nice guy. And I'm just a warrior on a mission. I'm a warrior on a mission. And I'm trying to get some truth. And unfortunately, nice people doesn't go well for them when they get in the way. Doesn't go well for them when they get in the way. I say this out of the kindness of my heart. I love Charles Chase. I love him. I want him to be safe. I want him to be happy and I want him to be safe. I think he's a very smart guy that helps Lockheed Martin literally make the orbs in the videos. Literally make the orbs in the videos. I think he might have literally been building those orbs for Lockheed Martin. Just throwing it out there. This is actually my true speculation, by the way, guys. Like, I think we've hit the target like bullseye with at least a couple of our darts. At least a couple just straight up donk. Got him. Because Charles Chase has all the pedigree to be somebody who would have been working for the Black Project engineers to literally build those orbs, which are all about electromagnetism and magnetohydrodynamics, plasma control, everything that he's an expert on. So those would be my 4, guys. That's what I want. That's what I want out of MH370. That would be the dream. Can you imagine? Honestly, life would be absolutely complete if I could just have those 4 people in front of me. You could do whatever you want. You could take my life, take my energy. After that, there's no topping it. No topping it. Okay, let's talk some physics here, chat. Let me get some caffeine. It's been a long day. I love you guys, by the way, guys. I've been working 2 jobs, basically, to do this and my normal job. And this has been enjoyable to kind of get up to speed with this hidden technology and physics that the government has. The CIA seems to be the one controlling it. This is the big reveal of the MH370 videos, is that they've got this orb technology, which may be nuclear weapon technology or derived from nuclear weapons. Let me change that volume. And they're the ones who are conducting operations with this technology. So if there is a reverse engineering program, they are the ones who have it. Now, what this means, people say, Ashton, wormholes are impossible. It requires exotic matter. And exotic matter doesn't exist. This is literally the number one thing I get from people. Guys, sorry, it's not physically possible because exotic matter doesn't exist. And I go, who called it exotic matter? Stupid people? No, if you're calling it exotic matter, this is like the old 3 or whatever it is. This right? Uh-oh. You called it UAPs, chat. Don't ever do that. Don't I ever hear any of you calling it exotic matter. Negative energy. Because the problem is we've defined something and closed ourselves in an imaginary box. And what I'm telling you is 100% the truth. So pay attention. What's the problem? The problem is negative energy is not an exotic matter. It's not Harry Potter mist that doesn't exist. It's a perspective on the universe. And that universal perspective is the same as thermodynamics. Hot flows to cold. Simple. Simple. We know that to be true. And in pressure, we have a similar effect when it comes to pressure. Higher pressure, lower pressure. Higher pressure will dissipate to lower pressure. Simple. Now, you say, what is negative energy? Oh, well, it's just a pressure difference, an opposite pressure difference. That's it. That's all we need. We don't see it. We don't see it around us all the time, but that doesn't mean it's not there. And the perspective, there's several ways to look at the negative energy. The way I look at it as something called 0-point energy. This is why 0-point energy is really the unifier of everything. Because 0-point energy is this latent energy that's left over that we can't see. We don't actually know how deep this energy is. Depends. This is the big conundrum in physics. If you go around looking throughout physics and you say, where is the gap? Where are the things that we're not sure about? The negative energy is that thing. The 0-point energy specifically is that thing. They say, well, yes, if you take all the heat, if you take a cube of empty space and you pull all the heat and all the light out of it, there's still something left in there. And you're like, wait, what? You take all the matter out of there and there's still something left? What's left? Well, the 0-point energy. Okay. And that's real energy. So now imagine, to give you a perspective, it's the best to think about this energy as a liquid. So let's imagine it like a lake or like an ocean, like the Jurassic Sea, for example. Now we say, okay, let's just arbitrarily put our energy level here, whatever this is, right? You say, okay, what's positive energy and what's negative energy? Positive negative energy is anything above this level. Negative energy would be anything below this level. So now we'd say, okay, well, if I'm able to do this, move this 0 point energy away, you could change the amount, the pressure, the relative pressure. This is how we should think about negative energy. And this was the big reveal from Sal Pais. Probably the biggest reveal for me to help me understand this is, okay, well, how do we get that? How do we do that? Well, make a huge amount of positive energy or make a bubble, a very high energy density positive energy. And if we can shape that, then we can detach that area. And now it can be pushed from the pressure, from the relative pressure between the two zones. So that's one way to think of it, is you can either detach it from a bubble, or the other way to think of it is you make this huge amount of positive energy which pushes away all the negative energy, therefore allowing you to just fall into the void, so to speak, fall into the true vacuum, push away all that energy. Now where are you? Now you're in the true void. And in the true void, there's no mass, there's no inertia. None of those exist in the true void. Because the 0 point energy is what's giving us all of those physical properties. The reason we exist is we're on this medium of 0 point energy. So negative energy. Now, what's your answer? Somebody says, hey, well, what's the exotic matter? The negative energy is simply an understanding of 0 point energy. And the idea that if we push that 0 point energy away, now we've created negative energy relative to the baseline. And as Sal said, well, this ocean, it's basically flat. There's no waves at all going on in this thing. So if you want to make this ocean level change, you need a huge amount of energy to make that change, to break that Schwinger limit, as Sal says. Julian Schwinger, the one to come up with that idea. So if we want to break through and get to that negative energy, to get to where the arrow of time gets reversed, Sal says we need this huge amount of localized energy density. Now, for me, that right there says nuclear weapons. I don't have the clips handy for you, so I'm just going to speak to it, guys. Please check out the live stream from yesterday, the interview with Sal Pais. I'll try to get it loaded up with the podcasts. First thing is, well, if you need all this huge amount of energy, what about nukes? Wouldn't we have seen this with nukes? Wouldn't we have seen this effect when we were doing nuclear weapons? Have a sip. Have a big sip, about to learn some information right now. We did see this effect. We saw this effect in the form of excess energy that could not be explained. Excess energy that they just said, yeah, it was 2.5 times bigger than normal. We're trying to understand why that is, because classical physics says that shouldn't be the case. And they go, well, we just threw some lithium in there. And you can have basically any chemist can go look at the equation and go, yeah, that's not going to make it go up by 250%. So you would say, well, we can solve this. We can solve this. We just need to do some more nuclear tests. That's all we got to do. Oh, sorry. Whoops. Sorry. Nuclear testing was banned in the 60s. Why? It's bad for the environment or something. Don't think about it. Shut up. Don't ask questions. Nuclear testing was banned, so nobody's allowed to actually test anything. But Russia and China don't give a shit. Russia and China are still testing nukes. We talked about it yesterday. China tested a nuke in 2020. And now, brand new news leaking out of the intelligence community claiming that China might be working on a next generation nuclear weapon. Get ready for the Ashton was right. Get ready to hear it. Because there you go. Nuclear weapons, specifically thermonuclear weapons, high yield, even their size probably is irrelevant. Maybe there's some minimum size they have to be to get it to work, but clearly orbs that are 20 feet wide are good enough to go. They're good to go. So nuclear weapons manipulate space-time. Third thing that you need to know. We're cramming this all in quick. ER equals EPR. Okay. We've got the negative energy covered. We've got the source and the cover-up. Nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons that were banned because basically anybody that starts working in high energy physics is going to figure out, oh, this is what this missing link is. Turns out there's an ether. And if we take that into account in our calculations, everything starts to actually add up correctly. But only in high energy physics, which is why we don't see it day to day. We don't see it day to day because we're not working with nuclear weapons day to day. We're working in very low energy levels. And then the last conjecture we need to understand, ER equals EPR. Einstein-Rosen equals Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen. The idea that quantum entanglement is the same as a wormhole. Did your mind get blown? If you're a noob, did you just have your mind get blown? You learned what negative energy was? You learned that fusion bombs are manipulating space-time? And then you just learned that quantum entanglement and wormholes are the same physical phenomenon. Chat, where's my Nobel Prize? Where's my Pulitzer at this point? I think any one of those three things is Nobel Prize worthy. Literally better than even better than macroscopic quantum tunneling that won the Nobel Prize last year. And they just won for body of work. What the hell does that mean? Just saying, chat. And honestly, to give me the Nobel Prize would be distasteful to the Nobel Prize because I am just a healthcare IT guy, which is why I say I'll just take the Pulitzer. It won't harm me. I'll take the $1 million though for the Nobel Prize. I'm not going to turn away money. Come on. Okay. Anyway, I got sidetracked. ER equals EPR. Wormhole equals quantum entanglement. Now, people say, Ashton, isn't ER the same on both sides? Yeah. Einstein and Rosen were pretty damn smart, chat. Einstein and Rosen were pretty damn smart. Einstein-Rosen bridge. Wormhole. Realize these ideas are literally exactly the same. Einstein-Rosen bridge is a wormhole. They're just different names for the same thing. This happens a lot. This is why I say conceptually. When I say conceptually, people conceptualize the same thing different ways, especially when we're dealing with invisible dimensions of energy that we don't see. Right? Leonard Susskind and Juan Maldacena. In fact, you know what? I got videos for this. Why am I even saying anything? Why am I saying anything, chat? silly me. Hold on. ER equals EPR. There it is. I was looking to see if I have a different ER equals EPR. This one's good, though. Well, here we go. Explain it for me.
The Holy Grail of physics has been and is the unification of these two realms into something like a quantum theory of gravity, which we don't currently have. Einstein himself was working on this idea of unification until his last days. In fact, he, along with his collaborator, Nathan Rosen, in attempting to create this unified theory of quantum gravity, published what is now called the ER paper for Einstein and Rosen. Together, they developed the concept of a certain type of wormhole called an Einstein-Rosen or ER bridge. The idea is you start with a flat space-time, then you add something super heavy, like a black hole that breaks space-time, something that creates a kind of hole in the fabric of space-time because of a theoretical singularity which would occur at its center. It's a point of infinite mass density. Thus, you get a kind of tube-like structure of space-time that ends up at the singularity. Now, if you have this same construction somewhere else in space, then you could just imagine these two tubes connecting such that you don't have a singularity anymore, but rather a tube that connects one space-time to the other space-time. This is a wormhole. It's like a bridge from one part of space-time to another. Now, it so happens, just prior to publishing this paper, Einstein, Rosen, and another collaborator by the name of Boris Podolsky had published what is known as the EPR paper, in which they argued that quantum mechanics is incomplete because of something called quantum entanglement.
So let me just point out here, how we haven't discovered shit. How physics nowadays, like, it's very obvious that there is something malicious going on, because our physicists now just pale in comparison. It's almost like hearing about legends of old, of people living to be hundreds of years old. You're like, well, there's no way these people could have been real compared to what we have now. Now our physicists, we've got Brian Keating. Like, that's what we get now. That's what I'm left with, chat. 1935. 1935. We're left with Eric Weinstein as our big intellectual thought leader. I don't know. I'm not sure we're going to make it, chat. I'm just not sure we're going to make it. And by the way, every single one of them is afraid of discussion, afraid of debate. They only go on these like podcast bro interviews where people don't even know what the hell they're talking about. So they can talk on like platitudes, or speak in like code to make things super suspenseful, but not have anything like relevant. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Here we go. 1935, though. The other last point I wanted to make here, just remembered. They realized something was incomplete. Something didn't quite add up. Somehow, scientists of old were more interested in how the universe worked than we are today, generally. Not you guys. You guys are cool. But generally, they were trying to figure out how every single thing worked, trying to look at different ways to conceptualize the problem. Nowadays, we say, if you don't think like the orthodoxy does, if you don't believe in dark matter and dark energy, then you can get the hell out. You're not going to be a physicist. You better believe in dark matter, dark energy.
Incomplete because of something called quantum entanglement. This is a phenomenon in which a pair of particles can be created in such a way that their quantum states are linked to each other. They're linked such that the act of measuring, for example, the spin of one particle, instantly determines the spin of its entangled pair, no matter how far apart they are. So the EPR paper argued that this is not possible because it would require information transfer instantly or faster than the speed of light, breaking causality. Now, here is where...
Before he says this is where we got them. This is where we got them. Quantum entanglement. Physics cannot explain quantum entanglement. I just told you the answer. I didn't go around saying, hey, guys, here's a conjecture. Actually, I did say that part. I didn't go around saying, here's a paper. Go ahead and peer review my shit. No, I just said, here's the answer. I found the answer. Here's the answer. ER equals EPR. Wormholes are the same as quantum entanglement. The reason why we can't explain either of them is because they're the same thing. And dark matter, dark energy, these things were invented so that we would not realize that there is an ether. Great comment here by Night Slayer says, wouldn't Einstein have estimated a fifth dimension as 0-point energy? Yes, he did. You didn't realize he did, but yes. You say, Ashton, how can you say that? Because he's the one who predicted gravitational waves. He saw the universe as an elastic solid that can jiggle around. That requires a medium. All those things require a medium. That means he believed in an ether, even if he didn't even realize it. But he probably did. The myth of Einstein has probably outlived his actual person at this point. Happens a lot, and I hope it doesn't happen to me. Okay, let's finish this.
It gets interesting. What if the wormhole from the ER paper and the phenomenon of entanglement from the EPR paper were theoretically connected? What if two entangled particles very far apart were exchanging information instantly because they were intimately connected via a wormhole through which this information could transfer through space-time instantly?
That's amazing. Pause, chat. Pause. Why you gotta do this to me? Why do I gotta be reading this is why I don't read my comments, chat. Everybody told to think Nickelback sucked. Whether they do or don't doesn't matter. We were told to believe in dark matter. Put it on a wall, chat. Confucius over here. Is that a haiku? I don't even know. All I know is now I'm not sure about Nickelback anymore. Now I'm not sure. Maybe Nickelback was good this whole time. Now you really got me wondering. So, ER equals EPR, guys. So here you go. We now have the framework needed to make a wormhole. We just have to figure out entanglement at the large scale. Well, there's already one thing that reminds me of entanglement. Superconductivity. Superconductivity, where charge just never dissipates. Perfectly conductive. No loss of energy. That kind of reminds me of entanglement because it almost seems like that would be like a superhighway connecting every point in space and time, which is pretty much what we need for entanglement. So that's just one thought I had. But the other thought is this. No matter what the answer is, we have to figure out how to harness the power of quantum entanglement in the palm of our hands. That's what we need to be able to do. Now, people say, Ashton, like the person that says, negative energy is Harry Potter magic. They say, Ashton, if they had this power of teleportation, of wormholes, what would that require? What am I saying? What I'm saying is realize they've figured out negative energy. They're working with different physics than you're working with. They're working with a complete set of physics. Do you get it? They've got access to technologies you haven't even figured out yet because your physics doesn't allow for it. This is the part where we hit the wall. The way the EPR experiments work, all of them as far as I can tell, is they split a photon down two paths. And these are entangled. Opposite, they're always opposite or whatever the hell it is. Doesn't matter, they're entangled. And we send them against two different walls. We have one go through a bunch of a maze or some shit like this. And this is how we do our measurements. But what we need, what we want, we don't want to like shoot two orbs and have them just flying around in different directions. That's weird. That's awkward. I don't like that. I don't like that. No, it's not classy. It's not classy, chat. We want the entanglement where you can just whoop, whoop, entangle two orbs together. At any point, you'd be like, okay, I want these things to be entangled now. Okay, great. And then even if you need a sender and a receiver, they can just go do anything. They can go be chill wherever they want. And then you can all of a sudden decide that kind of entanglement, harnessing that entanglement. That's what I want to know about. Now, do I know about it? Not really. Admittedly, this is where I say I hit the wall. So the way they refer to this is harnessing quantum entanglement or using quantum entanglement as a resource. Like you're storing it up in a battery. Give me some of that quantum entanglement. Delicious. We're going to read a little bit about it right now. This is so far cutting edge that I don't even think they're going to even be talking about this for another 3 to 5 years in popular mechanics. and the other science, pop sci things. Because they're not even thinking about this. But realize that if you could harness quantum entanglement at will, you've solved quantum computers. At that point, you're basically saying, I can control the movement of a quantum computer at any level I want. I mean, you might even be able to shape reality like you want. You're definitely going to hit the singularity quickly. You might even be able to develop AI with that. So, here we go. Let's learn a little bit. Let's start with the easy explanation. Like we're 5 years old. Where are they? Explain these as a layperson. So here's the different options, guys. I'll read them to you. Entanglement from birth via spontaneous parametric down conversion, SPDC. We got to learn all that. Spontaneous down conversion. I swear to you guys, I think they just name these things the most complicated name that they can possibly think of. Imagine shining a powerful laser. This is why we have AI, by the way. Imagine shining a powerful laser beam through a special crystal that acts like a magical splitter. Instead of just bouncing off or passing through, the laser's light particles, photons, sometimes break into two new photons that are perfectly matched in properties like direction or color. These two are entangled. Meaning, okay, we know that part. Okay, Grok, chill out. Grok's treating us like we're like 5 years old. We're like 8 years old, okay? Grok, we know what a quantum entanglement means. No, but this is really good. So what it says is use a magical crystal. This is true, by the way. You literally use a magical crystal and you shoot the light through the magical crystal. Now, the downside is only like 1% of the photons are going to be entangled. This is a big problem. We want to know which photons are entangled. We need more than 1%. We need more than 1% of the photons to be entangled. That's janky. This is like people say, Ashton, the Casimir effect cannot do what you needed to do with the warp drives. And I'm like, okay, well, the Casimir effect is just showing you the physics. Okay. So we're not going to use spontaneous down conversion, stupid ass name they came up with for perfect entanglement because it's super inefficient. Or we're going to have to make it more efficient. Got it? Okay. So now you understand number one. By the way, chat, you guys are going to be smarter than PhD quantum mechanics physicists pretty soon. Even if you're working at McDonald's. How funny is that? Next one. So yeah, here it says right here. It says, it's like baking cookies where occasionally you get the perfect pair without trying too hard. See, this is for noobs. This version number one's for noobs. But this is, of course, the only thing you read about when you're reading about EPR experiments. You're basically reading about noob shit. Now let's step it up a level. Second generation entanglement. Transfer from photons to atoms. See, now look at this. We're stepping it up. We're saying, look, entanglement is not just photons. Now we got atoms. You're saying, Ashton, you're bullshitting me. You're saying there's no way that a wormhole and quantum entanglement can be the same thing. Oh, yeah? Then why, when I ask Grok about using entanglement as a resource, the second thing it says right here is photons to atoms? This changes the game from energy to matter. Start with entangled photons, then hand it off that weird connection to atoms, which are like tiny storage units. You do this by having the atoms absorb the photons, copying the entanglement onto the atoms' energy levels. What the fuck? Is this real? It's like mailing a top secret message in a light beam and having it safely stored in a vault when it arrives. This is useful because photons are great for traveling long distances. But atoms hold on to the entanglement longer without losing it to noise. Think of it as upgrading the fragile email to a secure hard drive. Chat, I'm tripping, chat. I'm bugging out. I am bugging out, chat. Holy shit. That sounds like, to me, I need your commentary, guys, here. I need help. I need help with this one. We need the power of the community to solve this. That almost made it sound like you can shine the light onto an object. The object's atoms will store the information. It's almost like you're charging it up. And then whatever the light hit will teleport. And it increases the entanglement because the atoms somehow are now less susceptible to decoherence than light is. Wow. Let me tell you why this one's got me thinking. The number one question I have: how come just the plane disappears? How come just the plane? Like, we're thinking of it like a bubble, but I think it's more complicated than that. It's not just a bubble. It's almost like it got cut and pasted completely out of space-time, but just the plane and just the occupants. And the air somehow didn't. The air somehow was left behind. Huh. And when I look at this, I go, well, this might be a method to do that, which is like you're having all the light shine directly onto the object and being trapped entirely in its own little universe for a split second. Let's keep reading, but this one I got to think about more. Is that the name of it? Doesn't get a fancy name? Second generation entanglement, that's just what we're calling it. Okay. Heralded entanglement by photon interference. Picture two distant atoms like trapped ions in a lab, each spitting out a photon towards a central meeting point where the photons mix on a beam splitter. Like two paths merging at a fork in the road. If you detect the photons coming out a specific way, it heralds in one direction or signals that the original atoms are now entangled. The key is the mixing erases which atom sent the photon, forcing their states to link up. It's probabilistic, but reliable for connecting far apart quantum bits. Okay, so holy crap, chat. This is hard. Let's see if we can wrap our brain around this. The atoms are releasing the photons. Okay, so an atom is spitting photons, and they're going to mix. And then something happens, detecting them. And then you're not sure where they came from. So it's something about your atom spits out a photon, the photons interfere, and then now we don't know anywhere where the atom came from anymore. You don't know which one spit out the photon. I don't know about that one. Yeah, this one, not sure. Okay, let's go to the last one. Last option. Entanglement by direct interaction by Rydberg blockade. Okay, that one sounds fancy. I like the ones that sound fancy. I want to be able to be like, when I'm going to go on a podcast and be like, well, they're using the Rydberg blockade, classic entanglement strategy. Here you take neutral atoms close together and zap them with lasers to push them to super excited Rydberg states. Okay. Where they become huge and interact strongly, like balloons inflating and bumping into each other. The trick is that if one atom gets excited, it blocks the other from doing the same due to their repulsion, creating a shared state where they're anti-correlated. Wait, what? This is a thing? This directly entangles them without needing middlemen like photons. It's like two friends trying to jump on a trampoline. You won. You gave me the trampoline analogy. It's like two friends trying to jump on a trampoline. If one jumps high, the other can't. So their actions become perfectly tied. Great for building quantum computers with many atoms in a grid. Okay, I love this one. Holy shit, chat. Even the trampoline analogy. Now, this one's amazing. So what does that say in there? It says, okay, I've got these two atoms, and they've got their electron orbitals around them. And these make them so they're not going to get any closer. So imagine they're stuck in place. We are going to energize them, shoot them with a laser. Basically, everything that's dope in science has to do with shooting with things with lasers. I didn't make the rules, just is what it is. Lasers, shoot it with some dope lasers. Now they're going to expand. The electron orbital will expand because they've been excited to a higher energy state because you shot it with a pew-pew laser. Now what happens is because they're stuck and they're so close, this one has to flip. This one's forced to flip so that they can lock into place. This is straight up some Dr. Yu shit right here. This is some... did somebody say this in the chat? I think I saw it. Yep, there. Look at you. S. Avergi. Gold star. Gold star from Ashton Forbes, Professor Forbes today. Congratulations. Collect your extra lunch money later on. Dr. Yu. Because Dr. Yu says what's really going on, these atoms, they're just spinning really, really fast. These atoms are spinning really fast. So under the right conditions, you can get them to flip up or down, change orientation, but it requires extreme conditions. And this is also similar as the idea of dynamic nuclear orientation, which is forcing this orientation flip from energy level changes. I love it. I love it too because now it simplifies everything down. I think we're going to end up saying that the whole universe is all the same particle. Like we're going to really be able to simplify things. So there are 4 different ways to harness quantum entanglement, which I bet you before this, unless you've been watching my content, you didn't even know there was such a thing as using quantum entanglement as a resource, like a battery, like charging it up. Now you do know. And now you know 4, and you know the dopest one is the Rydberg blockade. Look at that. You're never even going to forget it because it sounds dope as shit. I can't wait to say it on a podcast. Who wants to have me on their podcast so I can talk about the Rydberg blockade? Ashton, how are those orbs entangling to one another? Well, they're using the Rydberg blockade. Even at high temperatures, doesn't matter. Increase the energy level, just force the atoms to be in whatever position you want. Now they're stuck. Boom. GG's. Okay. Delicious. Let's go to... I've had enough of that. Enough science. Let's talk about aliens. It's the hot topic. Everybody loves it. Everybody wants to know which aliens got the biggest butts, which ones are the sexiest, which ones have the telepathic powers. They're going to mind control you, make you molest them, make you live out your wildest fantasies. That's what people want to know. That's what people want to know. And so, Piers Morgan, intellectual heavyweight, of course, had on Jeremy Corbell and Michael Shermer and Jesse Michaels to discuss whether or not the aliens are real. Now, before we even pull this up, let's go ahead and see what their arguments are, and then we can pick out what we want to watch. God. Piers Morgan, journalistic heavyweight. He's like the Jerry Springer of podcast bros. Okay, so, oh boy, 10 minutes of Jeremy Corbell. No, thank you. Not interested. Jeremy Corbell says UFOs are real. Wow, good job, Jeremy. Big one. You really driving it home. Highlights public disclosure. Area 51. Neat. That was some shit about from the 90s. Corbell's top secret footage. Shares footage, including thermal videos of triangular UAPs. It's getting kind of crazy at this point, chat. The triangular UAP stuff. Like, we're staring at 3 perfect triangle, orbs in a perfect triangle, zapping MH370 out of the sky. And the videos come from a time before any of this UFO stuff, before the triangle formation orbs, at least. And now they're just pretending like it doesn't even exist. They're talking about it on Piers Morgan. Pretend like it doesn't even exist. Crazy, man. Crazy to me. Okay, then Michael Shermer is going to... Okay, so basically this is going to be a big waste of time is what I'm seeing here. Are they going to fight each other or what? Oh, okay. Okay. So then Michael Shermer says, Shermer estimates 95% of UFO sightings are explainable. I mean, it's probably higher than that. He agrees intelligent life likely exists elsewhere, but doubts visitation due to distances. See, here you go. We don't even need to watch this. This is the sad part, chat. If you are so devoid of original thought that you can't go on a podcast and not sound like a complete and total NPC, then don't waste anybody's time. Even if you're going to be wrong, at least show up with a new idea, a new thought, something that not everybody else is thinking to. This idea that, well, it's just really far away, so I guess that's that. That's literally the same kind of caveman logic that people, the reason why people didn't think we were going to go to outer space. People thought rockets weren't possible. Now we laugh at something like that. People thought flying around on airplanes wasn't possible. They didn't think human flight. They thought a metal bird is impossible. No chance it could ever fly. Now they fly around everywhere. They thought you could never transmit voice via wires. That's stupid. Voice doesn't transmit via wires. It transmits through the air. And now we're going, the aliens couldn't possibly exist. It's just too far away. There's just no way around how far away everything is. Yes, there is. That's the thing about relativity. That's the beauty of relativity. Here it is. I'm going to tell it to you right now. No filter, no whatever. When you speed something up in relativity, it gets heavier. When you speed something up, it gets heavier. Simple concept. Does anyone disagree? The whole point of physics, the whole problem, is if I want to speed something up, it takes more and more energy to do so. That's why we can't go the speed of light. That's the reason why Michael Shermer says we can never get to even the nearest star. Okay, so we all agree. If you speed something up, it appears to get heavier from our perspective. Okay, let's take the same concept. I'm going to scale it down to just one atom. One single atom. A single atom's pretty light, right, chat? I can push a single atom pretty easily. I'm going to push this single atom to the speed of light. What's going to happen? If I push this single atom to the speed of light, it's going to become infinitely heavy. In fact, it could even create a black hole. In fact, this was exactly what people were afraid of with CERN. This was the exact physics that people were afraid of with CERN. That if you accelerate your particle too fast and collide them together too energetically, you're going to actually create a black hole. Now, the reason why it's not true, why it's not going to happen, is because the universe is naturally resisting this. The universe, if you do create the black hole, the universe wants it to dissipate super fast, like the water flooding in the ocean. It happens really quickly. So you're not even going to see it unless you're looking for it, because it's just happening that fast. So what are the orbs, chat? What are the orbs in the MH370 videos? I just told you the answer. What are the orbs? They're particle accelerators, chat. They're particle accelerators. They're accelerating particles be in them. Why? Because if you accelerate particles towards the speed of light, now you get the gravity that you need. You're producing gravity because you're making things really heavy. Relativity. Relativity is the cheat code to all of this. The same speed of light. The fact that the speed of light is constant, even when I'm going super fast, is the cheat code. That's the cheat code, everybody. There you go. That's the cheat codes. It turns out Einstein wasn't wrong. Is that we took Einstein's physics in the wrong direction. We took it in the wrong direction. We blinded ourselves. And when you look at a lot of the physics, you may say, Ashton, if this was true, people would know about it. Well, a lot of people do know about it. And we simplify the physics intentionally to make it simpler for us to understand. And so we don't look at relativistic effects the vast majority of the time. Ultra relativistic effects don't even get looked at. So, of course, Lockheed Martin exploited that, and it is exploiting that right now. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. Now, let's go back to this. So Michael Shermer, nothing new, boring. And then what does Jesse say? Jesse believes in non-human intelligence, citing nuclear interference. That's also kind of stupid, honestly. Interdimensional or time traveler origins, or alien. He argues new physics to explain anomalies, reduced classified docs, unresolved arrow cases, and analyzed materials. Now, I think those are all pretty bad arguments. And the worst one is probably new physics. What did I just explain to you guys? Does any of that sound like new physics to you? I wouldn't qualify any of that as new physics. It's actually the same exact physics we've already been using. We just have to be less stupid about it. We just have to add the extra dimension that's obviously there. Quantum entanglement needs an explanation. You can't just go, well, it's just the universe just likes to cheat sometimes. What the hell are you talking about, man? God, I swear some people. Universe just likes to cheat. All energy came from nothing, but just that one time during the Big Bang and never again. Does that make sense to you? Are you happy with that explanation? If you are, then you know what? You're basically just like an Amish person. Avoid all technology. Live in your blissful ignorance and enjoy life. And I will leave you alone. For the rest of us who are like, hey, man, how do we push the physics and break shit and do some cool, dope stuff? Well, we're going to go break Einstein's equations. We're going to push relativity to its extreme. We're not going to say, hey, negative energy is the Harry Potter magics. Got those Harry Potter magics going on. Pew, pew. No. We're going to say, no, that 0 point energy is actually significant. And if you're able to break through that Schwinger limit, now the rule book is thrown out. Okay, let's listen to them argue a little bit, since that apparently was 30 minutes of garbage. I can't believe that's what they're wasting 30 minutes on Piers Morgan. I want to just see them fight. I just want to see them fight. Guess maybe that's just a reflection on me, though, huh? Here it is. All credit to Piers Morgan, who I kind of have a feeling this guy might be one of those people who copyright strikes you if you post too much of his crap. So let's be a little careful about it. Oh, look, these people are going at it over here, maybe. Wait, is he even going to respond? I don't even think I see Jesse responding here. Okay, let's see what Jesse has to say.
I believe they have visited our planet.
I believe non-human intelligence exists, and so that's, I think, why that term is being used more than aliens, which is just one of the hypotheses that you mentioned. I think there's a preponderance, there's an abundance of evidence that should shift the consensus now in the open source world that there is some intelligence between man and, let's say, some ineffable God, above us. There's an intelligence above us doing all sorts of crazy things around our nuclear facilities, our energy grids, our weapons installations, and that's been happening for the longest time, since the dawn of the nuclear age in the 40s. So are you guys getting me, by the way? I just see myself here. Okay,
yeah, we are, yeah.
Are you getting me, by the way? Yeah, I don't know. Those arguments are not good. It's like, hey, man, there's like a lot of people, dude, that are like totally seeing stuff. Yeah, that's not compelling to me. And it's also not compelling to me to say, well, there's a lot of unexplainable stuff, so it must be aliens. That's not compelling to me either. What would be compelling to me is if you were like, hey, we've got fusion technology that the government hid, and we might be seeing fusion things flying around. And obviously, if I see some fusion flying around that nobody knows exists, we're going to be thinking it probably looks like aliens. That would be compelling. That would be compelling to me. And you say, oh, well, the aliens started showing up and disrupting nukes. And I say the UFOs are nukes. There is a coincidence why the aliens showed up when nukes happened. The same reason why we banned nuclear weapon testing. We are the aliens. We are the aliens in this case. That's my opinion, at least. Let's see how Shermer responds. Honestly, I feel like I could win either side. I could win either side of this argument, of this debate, I feel like. Put me on the believer side or put me on the skeptic side. I'm going to beat either of them. Okay, well, does Shermer even have a response for this? Oh my God, man. Okay, I've heard enough of Jesse's thing here. What's the response? Oh, he doesn't even let him respond. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Look at this triangle formation thing. Go. Here we go.
Those are probably drones or just aircraft, flying in formation. I do show in my book the Kinesi illusion. This is where you put.
Those are probably just drones flying in formation. This guy's not a serious person. This is Michael Shermer. Chat. Sometimes I feel like they've got me handcuffed to the table. What? Do you people not want to see me on Piers Morgan go against one of these people? Does no one wants to see that? No one wants to see Ashton Forbes literally just tear one of these people to absolute shreds in a debate, in a discussion. The guy's just sitting here going, that's just 3 drones flying around in a triangle formation. Happens all the time. The fuck are you talking about, Michael Shermer? That's infrared camera. This is an infrared camera. You're not looking at birds. You're not looking at random drones. You know what an airplane looks like? An infrared camera? It looks like an airplane. It doesn't look like a fucking blob. Certainly not a blob of 3 blobs flying around in blob formation. Okay, let's let him keep going. Chat, odds of crashing out are going through the roof right now. Might have to get my glasses ready.
3 triangles together like that, and then the brain fills in what the rest of it looks like as if it's a solid object. It's a very common phenomenon. Many of the UAP sightings are in that triangular formation.
Is this guy like 4 foot nothing? I feel like this guy might have dwarfism. He's like, oh, the mind. Nobody is saying that there's a craft inside of that. He's arguing against things that people literally aren't even saying right now. How is this even a debate? Yes, I agree. There's not something connecting that. That's the whole point. What he's saying right now actually supports me. I'm saying people that were seeing these triangle craft were just filling in the gaps. They were really seeing 3 orbs that are fusion orbs. And it looks like it's connected because they're moving in unison. Exactly. How does that make it normal? Is that a normal thing? What kind of life does this guy live where he's seeing drones flying around that are lit up like orbs in triangle formations? Like, that's normal. That's not something I've ever seen in my life outside of the MH370 videos.
I should note, back to the previous comments, all of that is possible. I mean, time travel, warp speed, these kinds of things that we see in science fiction.
Well, okay. Well, then what the hell are we doing here, brother? What are we doing? All of this is possible. Warp drives. What else did he say? Whatever. Wormholes, faster than light travel. What's the problem then, bro? You know what? Silly me. Silly me for giving him too much credit. I feel like, and by the way, I haven't seen this yet. This is my first time watching this. I feel like he's about to say one of the things that we already debunked in this live stream, isn't he? He's about to say one of those things, isn't he? He's going to say some shit about it requires this negative energy, this exotic matter. Or he's going to say it requires this huge amount of energy that's impossible, isn't he? That's what he's going to say. Where are my glasses? We're ready. Go ahead. It's on you.
That's entirely possible. That, you know, if there are aliens, they're not going to be just 5 years ahead of us. You know, like you hear, you know, they crashed in Roswell in New Mexico in 1940s, and that's where we got silicon chips instead of vacuum tubes, something like that. They're not going to be just barely ahead of us. They will be, you know, light years ahead, millions of years ahead of us. So yes, they could have that physics and technology, but do they in fact? Has that in fact happened? That we do not know. So again, just, you know.
Okay. Guess I'm wrong. I'm not right about everything, chat. It has been proven. The aliens did not download every answer into my brain. That was downright somewhat logical. We might be breaking through. If the aliens exist, this is the number one thing people need to get through their head. If the aliens exist, they are way beyond where we're at. It's not even a level comparison. Because the problem is once you get to a certain level of technological advancement, you just hit a singularity and skyrocket. It's actually like the equivalent of us to ants. That's the general technological equivalent. In fact, to me, the new theory that I'm starting to wonder about, because it actually kind of makes sense, is that we got lost on this planet. We are aliens that went through a wormhole, landed on this planet, and we got stranded, and then we lost our technology because we got stranded here. Honestly, I'm starting to lean that direction.
Show me. You know, I hear the stories about Bigfoot. Okay. Are all the missed opportunities that, you know, failed experiments and scientific theories that never panned out? You know, so we have a survivorship bias. So
I have no idea what the answer is, but do you believe in God? Are you a religious man?
Oh no, I'm an atheist. Yeah, I'm an agnostic. Technically.
Okay, whatever. Atheist sucks.
Authorities. He's put in the tomb, and then Gort the robot pulls him out of the tomb.
Yeah, sucks.
That's my
needs to propagate. And so if you have anomalies at a small scale, they're just going to sort of metastasize something that you don't even fully know. You have these hypotheses as to what they are, but they have complete, you know.
Or
so what was there before the Big Bang?
What was there before the Big Bang? Maybe another universe. And you have a multiverse. You have multiple explosions.
So time. Yeah. So just to be clear, hang on. So time did not begin with the Big Bang. You just disproved their theory immediately.
Our time.
Holy shit, chat. Do I owe Piers Morgan an apology? Do I owe Piers Morgan an apology? He actually made a good point. He made a point that we made. He made the point. If you say, oh, well, you believe in the Big Bang. Well, what happened before the Big Bang? You got to have some actual explanation. Well, I guess there's just a multiverse. Well, this is the problem now. Is that now you're just making up explanations to make up more explanations. Same reason why we're inventing dark matter and dark energy. Because we literally, by the way, invented those because relativity doesn't work. Relativity doesn't work when we go apply it to the celestial bodies. Doesn't work. The most famous one is dark matter. The galaxies are not spinning the way they should spin. They spin too fast along the outer edges. Simple. Simple, guys. Literally simple. Somebody asked about Donald Trump. They said, in fact, I think this interview is kind of boring. I think we're done with that. I thought it was going to be better than that, guys. I wanted to see fireworks fly. I apologize. Is Donald Trump going to disclose this technology? No. Now, why do I say that? Because we're literally dealing with technology that's a national security threat. Literally a national security threat. We're dealing with technology that's on the level of nuclear weapons. Let's connect this to some of the topics I spoke with on Salvatore Pais. I wasn't just joking when I asked Salvatore Pais, do we have to destroy China or do we make peace with them? Because the reality is, two warring factions can't have this technology. Can't be allowed. Everybody's got to be on the same side. If we're not on the same side, we're not going to make it, chat. 0% chance of making it. Now, what that means, the reality of what that means, is either we have to ally with the people that are our adversaries right now, or we have to annihilate them. I said what I said. We either have to ally with them or we have to annihilate them. Now we're talking geopolitics. My opinion, since I'm the orb guy, I like China. China's cool. They probably got to get in line on some shit though. I don't like how they're thieving all our technology behind our backs. Doesn't make me very warm and fuzzy. But Islam's going to be a problem, chat. I'm just throwing it out there. I have no negative bias towards Islam. You know, nothing personal or anything related to them. But they're going to be a problem. I can see the writing on the walls. They're going to be a problem. They're not going to be allowed to have this technology. So when it comes to Iran, we're basically going to exert our influence throughout all of the Middle East. So if you're uncomfortable right now with what we are doing to Iran, prepare to get even more uncomfortable. There's a reason why we've left all those countries in rubble. The reason for that is so they'll never be able to catch up. By the time they rebuild, we're already going to be the Jetsons. By the time they rebuild, we're going to be in the Jetsons. We're looking at this and we're working on fusion, AI data centers that are going to be self-sufficient at some point, moon bases, and wormhole technologies. If you're walking around in sticks and stones, you don't even have a chance of catching up. The only countries that are even a problem at this point are basically China and Russia. And China, because they're smart enough to covertly realize they got to steal this technology to catch up. Russia just doesn't have the economic power to keep up. That's the reality of the situation. If you think China or Russia has any chance at all against the United States, if we were to go full-scale war, you are just completely delusional. We definitely have trump cards that they have no idea about. That will deny their weapons that they think are unstoppable. Guaranteed. Okay, so what else did I say with Sal? Let me take a look at the list here. So that's why I said it. And Sal says we have to have peace. You know, we have to have peace, which I agree with. Just never give me the orbs, guys. Okay, from a physics standpoint, fifth dimension, Ferris Williams. Now, people say, what are the things that we need to bring up? I've already mentioned a lot of them. Negative energy, whatever all the other things I was saying earlier today. ER equals EPR. But the other big one is the fifth dimension. Could also be thought of as the Dirac C, yes, the 0-point energy that Ferris Williams showed in his dynamic theory. And the reason why he is so important is because he fought the Navy and he won. Ferris Williams, his story cannot be denied. It truthfully happened. It factually occurred. He showed that the nuclear weapons calculations were wrong. The only way that could be possible is that they didn't use standard physics. They had something else thrown in. There must have been a missing piece. And Ferris Williams himself said, extra dimension, mass energy density. How much energy density you can fit, that also matters. You have to understand that. So we need to understand Ferris Williams. This showed that there was an extra dimension, and he fought the Navy, and the Navy classified his work, or at least it's presumed to be classified because we don't know. They never said exactly what happened. They never said. High beta, another good. I'm just reading the chat while I'm looking at this. That's another, there's several different aspects of the physics that cannot be denied. High beta is 100% required for what we're trying to do. Because why is it important? Why do we need this thing called high beta infusion to make it work? This is the ratio of the plasma pressure to the magnetic field strength. And why this is important is that it minimizes the magnetic field requirements. It makes it so you don't need a huge magnetic field to cause fusion to happen. Ooh, that sounds pretty nice because the magnetic field strengths are one of the limiting factors. Let's see. Learning about Sal's past. This was huge, I thought. Sal went from NASA to Northrop, right? Or no, wait. Yeah. He went from NASA to being a patent officer to going to Northrop to then joining the Navy. Pretty a good career. I asked him about Hal Puthoff, which at this point, if I'm just connecting the dots here, the DIRDs are exactly, those are the scientific papers. The Defense Intelligence Reference Documents are the scientific papers that the CIA is deploying. They're deploying that technology. Probably other aspects of the military are as well. Hal Puthoff has got to be CIA. I mean, I guess he always was, but he's got to be way more ingrained in that life than what people realize. Like, not just remote viewing shit, not just, well, we're going to psychic view that through the wall. No, we're talking quantum technologies, supercomputers, super powerful lasers, teleportation. That's what Hal Puthoff is helping with the CIA do. And he's helping them acquire the technologies. When I watch the Charles Chases, the BPTGs of the world, love that guy, by the way. The way I look at these guys, they look like they're headhunters. Not the headhunters that are killing people, the headhunters that are like looking for talent. They're like looking for talent. They're like, oh, I want to find that talent over there because they want to acquire that talent. And they want to give it to their buddies at the the like Lockheed Martin or the defense contractors, or they want to be like, hey, CIA, this is a technology you need to get a hold of. This is a disruptive technology. That they love to call it disruptive. It's like, just say alien, bro. Just say you're working on some alien shit. Okay? Disruptive technologies. That's what seems to be going on. They're like headhunters. So I asked specifically straight up, and Sal told me after the interview, he said, first thing he said, he goes, damn, bro. He goes, you had me sweating. He's like, I think I know why those other engineers avoid talking to you. Because I asked the questions that are going to get to the root of what we're trying to figure out. Even if I know they're not going to be able to ask, so I'll just ask it in a different way. And right there, I wanted to ask, Sal was the one that offered the information that supposedly Hal Puthoff and co., Jay Stratton, were the ones that shut down his work, Sal's work. So, well, why? He was working for the Navy. Well, because they're trying to prevent dissemination of this information to our adversaries and to the public. It's probably standard protocol. Probably standard protocol to not let this stuff get out there, which concerns me because it makes me wonder what other standard protocols could they have, like intentionally disseminating misinformation to mislead people. for example, could be one. The breakaway civilization. The breakaway civilization. This is probably the biggest thing. I really, really need to talk to Richard Dolan. Richard Dolan. Because I want to understand how this breakaway civilization thing happened and how powerful they really are. Is it just a informal good old boys club? That seems to be what it is. Is like, if you know Hal Puthoff, you're like part of the breakaway civilization. And if you don't know him, you're not. I kind of feel like it works informally. Like they don't have meetings, right? It's like Antifa. They don't have meetings, but they all wear the patches. They don't wear the patches in this case, but you get the point. But the problem is this. Like I said before, once you figure out negative energy, you've now solved physics. You're now working on a whole new tech tier that the rest of the world doesn't even know exists. They don't even know it exists. So now you're advancing up this brand new tech tier and everybody else is just going normal. So the problem here is we don't know how far back this goes. The MH370 videos are already 12 years old. They had fully functional teleportation of Boeing 777s 12 years ago. And I suspect if they had entanglement as a resource, they also had AI. This was the question. I think Sal avoided this when I asked him. I asked him if they have AGI. Do they have AGI? I don't have it written down here, so I don't remember what he said. They were working and using AI before the public announcement. I did ask him this. And Sal basically said that public announcement with Pete Hegseth with the Gemini AI, that was just them going public with it, basically. But they were already using AI before that, too. And then I also asked, are wormholes classified? I thought this was probably my smartest question of the night. Are wormholes classified? Because this is it. The whole drama with the Obama thing is that Trump is coming out and throwing Obama under the bus by saying that Obama gave out classified information and he wasn't supposed to do that. And you know why my read on that is so sharp? Is because Trump knows that Obama screwed up. He could have given him a pass. If he wanted to be a nice guy to Obama, he wouldn't have said anything about it. But he wanted to be a dickhead to Obama. So he not only said something about it, but he told the public, he revealed Obama in a public way. He said, Obama gave away personal information. I can't say what it was, but he gave away. I can tell you that. Well, it's obvious what he gave away. He's lying about aliens for some reason. He knows they're real, and he's lying. Pretending like he doesn't know. Wow. That's crazy. So that begs the question. If something as mundane as aliens is classified, which I would never have thought aliens is classified. Never. Then maybe even wormhole physics definitely has to be classified. I mean, if aliens are classified, wormhole physics is definitely classified. So this makes me wonder, like, oh shit. People probably talk about classified physics all the time. And we're in this weird catch-22 situation where, like, the classified physics is just becoming more and more mainstream, but it's also just classified, so you're technically not allowed to talk about it, if you know. Which, if that's true, how funny would that be? Because that would mean I'm in the perfect spot where I can say whatever I want. Nobody's ever shown me anything, made me sign anything that says, here's some secret physics that you can't talk about. I can just speculate for days. No threats. Because I'll tell you guys straight up, Sal's at a minimum worried that they're going to come down on him for the stuff he's saying. Right? Try to get him in trouble or whatever they got to do. I think he's probably safe, but this goes to show you, if they are that strict about classified information, and it is that petty, then definitely he's pushing the boundaries beyond beyond what anybody could really even imagine. Two other key points. Edward Teller. This is all connected to nuclear weapons, and Edward Teller is probably NJ number one. Even Sal agrees he's the guy they gave all, they handed it to, and they said, you're going to be the guy that we trust. And this is why I'm pinpointing Hal Puthoff as the guy that he gave it to. I think actually even Sal said that. I agree. This is why Hal Puthoff is going on Joe Rogan, but not really revealing anything and just telling prepackaged stories. Because he's the guy they trusted everything with, and he's not going to reveal it. Simple as that. And what they figured out is wormhole technology. They figured out that nuclear weapons can manipulate space-time. And they've got a whole new branch of physics that are just hiding. It's crazy. Just like with Jesse. Jesse doesn't go into this as much, but Luna says, this can't be humans. We don't have this technology. This is the disconnect. This is where I see the disinformation. This idea that it must be alien physics or alien technology because we can't possibly do that. This is the PSYOP. If I had to guess what the CIA, if I was the CIA in the 1930s, 40s, whatever, and I figured out this relativity, I would say, oh, let's just come up with something to blame this on. We're going to cover this up. And then maybe even people start saying it's aliens. And you say, oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. We'll let them talk about the aliens. Because now we have cover. Now we can work and develop a whole new branch of physics, and we can get it blamed on aliens. This is why the burden of proof must lie on the alien side. You have to show the alien bodies. And you better be ready to show there's no way that thing can be coming from Earth. Better be ready. Should be pretty obvious when we look at its biology. Should be instantly. Looking at its DNA should be obvious. Let's see what else. I guess the last one is time travel. The time travel debate. Sal is adamant that we can go to the past. The only way I see that being possible is either there is a multi-universe, which I am more and more leaning against, Marvel universe scenario, or time is deterministic, which I'm not against. In fact, earlier today, when I had that weird situation happen, which I'll probably never be able to talk about as much as I want to, I thought, holy shit, time is deterministic. Sometimes things line up and you're like, how can this be possible? How can it be possible that they've got wormhole technology? How can it be possible they covered this up? How can it be possible they wormholed an airplane? And how can it be possible that I'm the person revealing all this? Sometimes it seems like maybe that's only possible because time is deterministic. It seems weird to think about. Well, we're dealing with time travel anyway, so I have to throw it out there. So frankly, my answer is I don't want reverse time travel to be possible, because if it is possible, then I'm probably Bob Lazar. If reverse time travel is possible, I'm probably Bob Lazar, chat. Let's be honest. Pretty soon, in the next 5 years, I will go through a portal, and then I go back to the 90s, 1989. I make a couple friends. I get signed up with Lawrence Livermore because they know I'm a time traveler. And then next thing you know, I'm Bob Lazar. And then I got to spend 30 years just fucking sitting around doing nothing till Joe Rogan hits me up. This isn't alcohol, but you can't judge me if it was. That's probably where this is going. But no, I think my arguments were better than Sal's because John Kramer's, I think, I didn't feel like his argument. Basically, Sal said John Kramer's EPR experiments are missing breaking the Schwinger limit, which I guess that's true. But the whole point is ER equals EPR, which means we are seeing at quantum entanglement experiments the same phenomenon we are seeing in wormholes. We're just seeing it on a smaller scale. So I would say we are seeing the breaking of the Schwinger limit. We're seeing it on the tiniest possible scales, which is why it manifests as quantum entanglement. So I think we are going to end up being bound by the restrictions of EPR. But who knows? Like I tell people, this is the number one thing that I'm least confident of regarding all the physics, regarding all of the mystery of the plane. Okay, guys, I think that's it. So check out the interview. I thought it was really good. Let's go to some super chats, guys. Thank you, everybody in the Rumble chat. Appreciate you guys. If there is energy in an empty box and we can harness that, wouldn't everything be energy? Big thoughts. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. There you go. Matter is energy. Matter is just energy trapped in a resonance. I didn't come up with that, but it's true. Think about it. Matter is just energy trapped in. Think of an atom as a little black hole. And all we're doing is scaling that up. And you start to realize, oh, you've just realized the foundational building blocks of reality itself. Yep. That's what they've figured out. That's why we're left in the dark. So thank you guys in the Rumble chat. And in the Pilled chat, John Glock, my 5- and 6-year-olds are listening. So perfect timing with the discussion level. Thank you very much for John Glock's children. I hope you guys are enjoying the time travel discussion. So for the children out there, what I would tell you is everything you see in Star Trek is real. However, they didn't get the teleportation right. It's real, but they got it wrong in the way that it works. It's more like how the warp drive works. And if that excites you, great. Because this world needs bright, young, intelligent dreamers. So John Glock's children, it's on you. If you don't get us the warp drives, nobody will. We need you. We're going to traumatize these kids, chat. We're going to traumatize these kids tonight. Okay, a few more. Timothy Foster. Thank you, Timothy Foster. You've been a long-time supporter. Joe the plumber helped Bush with his situations. Ashton Forbes, IT guy, can help Trump and TAE deliver this technology to America and the world because their teaching abilities are that great. We can help, but I think they don't need our help. I think they probably have a better grasp on how this is rolling out than even we give them credit for. They are the people that I think they've got a 20-year plan for how this is all going to work out. And some of them already know which ones are going to be the winners and which ones are going to be the losers. That's why I don't even look. I don't think our investments are going very well right now. Yeah. Our DJT investments got down already like 30%. So not looking great. Lost a lot of money so far on that. But that's actually not because of Tri-Alpha Energy. It's actually because of Bitcoin. It's because Trump Media Group was super heavily invested in Bitcoin. And that's doing terrible at the moment. So, and I'm not worried because at the end of the day, Fusion's coming and Tri-Alpha Energy. If they're not one of the people that has been blessed with being one of the winners, then I'll eat my hat. Mick Leonard. So again, thank you very much, Timothy Foster. Mick Leonard says, I love this stream. Socrates meets Sherlock. Thank you, Mick Leonard. I appreciate you. And Mick Leonard, I see your posts on Twitter when I'm working, man. And they cheer me up, so I appreciate you. Resolute Decide, as I think how you're supposed to be DEI side, says, get Ashton Forbes on Piers Morgan. Guys, who would I even go against on Piers Morgan? So let's leave it with that for tonight, guys. What I want to know Put it in the comments. I want to read your comments while I'm at work tomorrow. Who should Ashton go against on Piers Morgan? Who would be? It can be a debunker. It could be Mick West. It could be a scientist. It could be Brian Keating or that guy Daniel Whiteson. Or it could just be a random douchebag. Maybe even an alien person as well. Maybe Jeremy Corbell. Who would you like to see Ashton go against? Put your dream team, dream challenger in the chat. Maybe we can will it to happen, guys. Okay, guys. Appreciate y'all. Love you, MH370X. We'll be back on Wednesday talking more science, talking more suppressed technologies, and talking more covert operations. Love you guys. Later out.
Infrared eyes, scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33, in the cosmic maze. Controls in the mix, secrets untold. Silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As Piers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence of space, they keep their post, shields unseen yet feared the most. With precision and speed, they warn of danger, keeping us safe from the missile's anger. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. And roles in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared